Before diving into this incredible story, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, every story has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. The rain fell silently on the cemetery. Between the tombstones, a woman knelt, her face ravaged, her hands clutching a withered bouquet. She murmured her husband's name, her voice breaking with stifled sobs. "James, why did you have to leave so soon?" Her tears mingled with the rain, and each drop seemed to remind her of the warmth she had lost. Suddenly, a movement in her field of vision caught her attention. A small, fragile figure appeared between the graves. A little girl with large, bright eyes, dressed in a soaked white dress, was walking timidly forward. The woman raised her head, her heart pounding. The little girl hesitantly raised a hand, as if to offer her a comfort no one else could give. But as she drew near, something inexplicable happened. The air seemed to vibrate, and a gentle warmth enveloped the grave. The withered flowers sprang back to life, and a crystalline, almost ethereal voice resonated in the widow's mind. "Mom, don't be alone anymore." She felt a breath of hope mixed with terror. Who was this child? How did she know her name? And why, suddenly, did her grief seem less heavy? At that moment, the woman's life changed forever. What she believed to be an eternal grief would transform into a mysterious quest, where past and present would merge, and where the little girl would be the key to a secret that would change everything. The next day, the rain had stopped, but the cemetery remained shrouded in a thick mist. The woman, Elizabeth Carter, couldn't erase the image of the little girl from her mind. Every memory of James, her deceased husband, seemed to intensify whenever she thought of those bright eyes. Back home, in an old Victorian house with walls covered in family photos, Elizabeth felt the emptiness of home more intensely than ever. James's laughter still echoed in her ears, but at every turn, his absence stabbed her. She sank into the living room armchair, her face in her hands, when a small noise caught her attention. A light, almost imperceptible step. She raised her head and saw her. The little girl was there, in the doorway, wet from the previous day's rain, but with a shy smile on her lips. "May I come in?" asked the soft, almost unreal voice. Elizabeth blinked. Was it a dream? A hallucination? Yet something in the air compelled her to answer. "Yes, between." The little girl stepped forward, holding a small silver locket in her hands. Elizabeth felt a shiver run down her spine. She knew that locket. It was James's. "He told me to give it to you, Mom," said the little girl. Elizabeth's heart skipped a beat. How could this child know? And above all, where did she come from? At that moment, the house seemed to vibrate, and a voice, soft but firm, resonated in the room. "It's time you knew the truth." Elizabeth felt a mixture of fear and hope wash over her. The little girl wasn't just a coincidence. She was the key to a mystery that would change her life forever. Elizabeth clutched the locket in her hand, her heart pounding wildly. The little girl, who seemed so fragile, nevertheless emanated a strange, almost supernatural aura. "How do you know my husband?" asked Elizabeth, her voice trembling. The little girl lowered her eyes, as if weighing her words. Then, in a soft but determined voice, she replied. "Because I am his daughter." Elizabeth recoiled in astonishment. Her mouth fell open, unable to form a sentence. A daughter of James's? It seemed impossible. James had never spoken of another family, of a secret. She shook her head, unable to comprehend. "You're lying," she murmured, but her heart wanted to believe. "Look, Mummy." The little girl opened the locket. Inside was a tiny photograph of Elizabeth and James, smiling, on their wedding day. But behind them, barely visible, was the silhouette of a little girl Elizabeth had never seen. Elizabeth's breath caught in her throat. Every memory of James suddenly took on a new dimension, a new meaning. Everything she thought she knew about his life, about her husband, about their love, was transformed into a mystery she had to solve. The little girl took a step forward, holding out her hand. "Mom." I know it's hard to believe. But there's something you need to know, something that can change our lives forever. Elizabeth felt a wave of fear and hope wash over her. Was she ready to discover what James had been hiding from her? Was she ready to face the truth? She took a deep breath and grasped the little girl's hand. In that simple gesture, everything seemed to change. The house, once silent and empty, now vibrated with an ancient mystery, and Elizabeth understood that her life would never be the same again. Elizabeth hadn't slept since the girl's appearance. The house, once a haven of happy memories, now seemed filled with whispers of the past. Every corner, every photograph, every object reminded her of James, and now this mysterious girl. When evening came, she decided to sit with her in the living room. The little girl, who called herself Lily, remained silent, but her eyes shone with an intelligence and a sadness that exceeded her age. "Mom. I'm going to tell you the whole story," Lily began. Her voice was calm, but each word seemed to carry a heavy weight in the air. "Before you met him, James had a complicated life. A life he never wanted to reveal to you. He had an accident, or rather, an event, that changed his destiny. And I am the product of that past." Elizabeth felt her heart tighten. Every word seemed to cut off the air around her. "You mean, you're his daughter?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Yes, but there's more, Mom. When he died, he knew he had to protect me. That's why I came to you. He left a message, something you need to know so that his life and mine will have meaning." Lily then took an old leather-bound notebook from her pocket. The pages were yellowed with age, but James's handwriting was recognizable, shaky and urgent. Elizabeth opened it carefully and read the first few lines. "If anyone finds this notebook, know that my life hides a secret. A secret I never wanted to reveal, but that only destiny can unveil. Protect Lily. Protect her at all costs. And one day, she will show you the truth." Elizabeth looked up at Lily, tears welling in her eyes. The little girl nodded gently. "That's why I came," she murmured. For the first time since James's death, Elizabeth felt a glimmer of hope. But at the same time, a nagging fear crept into her mind. What secrets had James left behind? And how far would this mystery disrupt both their lives? The wind blew against the windows, as if to announce that the past was not ready to stay buried. In the days that followed, Elizabeth and Lily spent their time deciphering James's notebook. Each page revealed fragments of James's hidden life, broken promises, formidable enemies, and a secret that could have destroyed their family. One evening, as the rain was once again pouring down on the Victorian house, Elizabeth stumbled upon a carefully folded letter hidden in the notebook. Trembling, she opened it and read aloud. "Elizabeth, if you are reading this, it means you have found Lily. I was never able to tell you the truth while I was alive. But know that I loved you more than anything. Lily, she is the key, she carries with her a name and a legacy that some have tried to erase. Protect her, and you will understand everything." Elizabeth felt her breath catch. Everything made sense now. Lily wasn't just James's daughter, she was the heir to a secret that could change their destiny. Suddenly, a loud noise at the door made her jump. The little girl clung to Elizabeth. The flashes of lightning revealed dark figures outside. James's enemies, determined to reclaim what the Carter family owned, were there. "Mom, we have to leave, now," Lily shouted. Elizabeth grabbed the girl's arm, and together they ran to the attic. There, they discovered a chest hidden beneath the floorboards. Inside were documents, photographs, and valuables belonging to James, everything the enemies were looking for. As the intruders forced their way in, Elizabeth realized something. Lily wasn't just a lost child, she was the key to their family's survival and truth. And in that moment, Elizabeth made a courageous choice. She would protect Lily, whatever the cost, just as James would have wanted. The little girl looked up at her and said, with surprising force, "Mom, together, we are stronger than anything." At that precise moment, Elizabeth knew their lives had changed forever. Grief and mystery had transformed into an unbreakable bond. Together, they would face the past, the present, and all the dangers to come.